All right, so we are going to talk about setting up your own hacking lab using VMware. So we're going to be using VMware and Windows 10. Now this can be done with many other hypervisors and many other operating systems, but these are two of the most easiest operating systems to configure. Linux is a good choice also, and obviously there are many choices, but we're going to do this with Windows 10. And also what's going to set this apart is not only are we going to set this up so that you can use a hypervisor for your VMs, for those guests to be your CTF or your guest hacking lab, but we're also going to set it up so you can use external devices. So you can connect directly to another device. In this case, I'm going to be using a device called the EC Council Storm Penetration Testing Toolkit. And you could do the same with another laptop or with a PC, or better yet, put a switch out there and connect your laptop to the switch and then connect multiple devices, maybe even some of them with hypervisors on them themselves. Let's look at the core of what needs to be done. First of all, we need to configure networking. And right now I have a Wi-Fi connection, as you can see right here. I have a Wi-Fi connection. Also, I have an internal connection. And this happens to be my 10-100-1000 Ethernet dongle that I have connected to USB-C on my laptop. And that's connected through a Cat 5e cable, I think it's 5e, going to my EC Console Storm Penetration Testing Toolkit device. And this could very well be any other type of device that you wanted to connect. Let's say that you were using an Arduino, Raspberry Pi, another PC, something like that. You can connect it yourself. Where you need to start is to start by selecting the Wi-Fi connection and going to properties. And what we're going to do is look at internet connection sharing. One thing to keep in mind is you need to have admin access to your PC. Now, it has to be full admin access, meaning that it can't be a machine where you are just some type of power user. If your organization owns your laptop or your desktop that you're working on, then this is not the exercise for you. You want to make sure there are no hidden rules that will stop you from having full administrative control over your device. Once you do this, you're going to go down here to where it says Home Network Connection, and you're going to select the, in this case, Ethernet 3. Yours might be built in. Mine, I don't have a built-in Ethernet port, so I had to get a dongle. Whatever it is that you're using to connect to the external device or the external switch, that's what you select here. In this case, I already have both of these boxes selected, so I'm not going to have a drop-down arrow, but you will. So select that physical connection that's going out to your other device. All right, so we hit OK on that. And once you've done that, you're good to go. Now, there are people who talk about using a bridged connection between these two. That's not exactly where we're going to do our bridging. We're going to do our bridging in VMware. So now let's open up VMware. I am using VMware 14 Pro. This can be done with almost any recent version of VMware. And so there are two things you need to do. Number one, you need to set up overall networking from the edit menu here under Virtual Network Editor. That's the first thing you need to do, is set that up. And then we need to set up the NICs for the VMs themselves. Now, right now, as you see, there are two built-in networks. One is VMnet 1 and one's VMnet 8. VMnet 1 is a host-only network, and VMnet 8 is NAT, Network Address Translation. Well, what happens is if you go here to change settings, just click on that, change settings. We have to have the admin access to tell, yes, we want to do that. We click on change settings, and you'll see that VMnet 0, which has always been there, it's kind of hiding when this interface is not turned on. And here is the second most important trick here. You need to connect to that same Ethernet, physical Ethernet controller that you have connected to earlier when we were looking at Microsoft networking and internet connection sharing over here. So the same network here, it's called Ethernet 3, but we're looking at the controller over here, and it's called Realtek USB, because I plugged it in through USB, Gigabit Ethernet controller. There are many other things that you could potentially connect. It's automatically on automatic, but we don't want it automatic. We want it on that Ethernet connector that's going to connect out to the device that you're using. All right, so once you have that done, you can OK out of there, and you can accept the defaults on it. All right, now you have networking set up, and now you need to make sure that all of your guests are using that network. So let's go to Chioptrix here, which is a vulnerable VM that you can download on the internet if you want to. And what we're going to do is we're going to edit these machine settings here. Let's edit machine settings, and once we do that, we're going to go to the NIC, the network adapter, and we're going to change that to bridged. See, I warned you we're going to be doing some bridged networking here. Do not do replicate physical network connection state. We don't want to do that. We want to just keep it with bridged. Once you do that and hit OK, when you boot this VM, the VM should now be able to get DHCP, Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. You'll see part of the way into the boot where it does that. Each of your VMs, if they were currently running when you made any of the previous networking changes, you have to restart these VMs. Now, in order to make most of these network changes, you have to have the VM off either way. But you'll see that in a few moments here, there's going to be a gray part of this setup right here, and right after that, you're going to see the DHCP section, and that just flew by. But if you were to slow that down, you would see that it indeed got an IP address. In fact, we can go over here to Kali, which I just happen to have turned on for this purpose. And in my Storm workshops, I use Kali. This is a great set of tools, and I have to be very careful here. I cannot let you see my really secret password of Tor. Yeah, so good. I'm glad you didn't see that. Now, what we're going to do is I already have some of these commands run, and what I like to do is I do an IP link show and then an IP ADDR show. And the IP adder show and IP link show gives me the assurity that the links LO0 and ETH1, ETH0 are up and running. And also, if you look at ETH0 over here, you'll see that indeed it has an IP address in the 137 network. That 137 network, were I to do an IP config on this device here, so let's go and look at here, and we'll do CLS, and we'll do an IP config. Oops, actually mistyped that. All right, we'll do an IP config. And sure enough, if we look at the Wi-Fi, it's on the 0 subnet. But if we look at the Ethernet adapter 3, you'll see that it's on the 137 network. So that means that my VMs right here and my local machine right here are on the 137 subnet. So that means that if I have my device connected, which is right here, this is the Storm device. If I do a IP ADDR show, which is hard to type with one finger. Anyway, there it is. You'll see that on the external device that I have connected directly into the laptop, I also have this on the 137 network. 137.111 is the subnet and the host address. So there we have it. We have it set up. So now what I can do is if I want to scan the network. So for instance, what we'll end up doing is as I add vulnerable hosts to this network, I can scan them, find them, and begin to run exploits against them from an external device. There you have it. We have now set up our network.